Hey guys, Joe of the Joe Madden Sports Podcast here, joined this morning by Tony George from Doc Sports. We are going to be talking NBA, MLB, Nascar, WNBA. We're talking the works today. Tony, how's the morning treating you?
Good. Ready to go tee off. Big week in the PGA. We do PGA head-to-heads, and of course, Memorial this week. Jack's tournament. Always a good tournament to watch and wager. And of course, the women's U.S. Open from Pine Needles down in North Carolina. I'll be watching that as well. So, along with everything else that's going on, it's going to be kicking off to a long weekend of hopefully return on investment and some profits. We're on big rolls in every sport and fired up and off a huge win last night with the Rangers in hockey. Got it done. Underdog 6-2 winner. I'll take it.
What a great game that was, Tony. Congratulations on hitting the Rangers there.
Yeah, well, a lot of people like Tampa. I thought that was a little bit of a – I know you do. I have a hockey handicapper on staff that does most of my – obviously, I follow everything, but – I know you do a hockey podcast, but as well, being from Canada, it's kind of the national sport, But nonetheless, I thought that a little bit of rust would come with that long layoff. And, the minute New York scored about, less than a minute into the game, I thought we might be okay here. So I don't start counting the money in the first period, but it looked like New York was just fresher from playing so much. So we took advantage of that.
Absolutely. And I actually went on another show guesting yesterday and said Tampa's the squarest play on the friggin' board today. Because on paper, Tampa is the better team. But if anyone was watching the Rangers and how well they were doing, so congratulations, Tony. That was a great way to go with that game.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk the NBA tonight. I know you have a thought on the total here. We've got a total that opened at 211 between the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors. Game one of this series is now up to 212.5. Which way are you going with this?
I'd lean over in this one. I'd take the over here. I've got a strong, big top, what we call top pick over at Docs, on this side play here. But I like the over. Last two games they played went to 216 and 220. The other thing, too, is here, you're looking at, if you look at last 5-game stats, which everybody does, we talked about this on the podcast last week when you're handicapping baseball or even the NBA, these day-to-day sports, you want to kind of look at the last 3 to 5 game averages, not the season averages, because they're cyclical. And, these day-to-day sports are every other day, like in the NBA now. It's more of the right here, right now look at it. And if you look at it, you go, whoa, well, Boston, 105 holding opponents to 95 points per game. They kept the Greek Freak in check, this, that, and the other. They kept this guy in check. Butler, except for a couple games. But the thing about Miami was they had one scoring threat, and that was Jimmy Butler.
Absolutely.
And Golden State's got them all over the floor. You could call them the Splash Brothers again because Poole is playing as well as Thompson, and if not better in some games. Then Wiggins has stepped up, and one, obviously, Curry. I did put out a tweet today, and I know you always, by the way, thank you for saying nice comments on Twitter when I put something out, Joe.
There needs to be more nice comments on Twitter. That's why I try to stay on it.
When you have a large following and kind of are a known entity in this industry, both of us are, and I've been around for 30 years, you develop a large following of haters as well as you do likers and followers. And so it's nice to see a nice comment, but I did put out a prop bet on Twitter this morning, Curry over 10.5 for rebounds and assists. He's been averaging 14 or more in every game against Dallas, and it's like minus 120. I thought that was a decent prop bet here, but I don't think you're going to see Boston holding these guys to 95 points, especially on the road. And it's a completely different animal to attack than what Miami was. Even, they got a break when they played Milwaukee because Middleton was out, so one of their big scoring threats there, which, may have been, that series may have turned out differently So it's interesting, but I just think it's a different animal. I don't see either team under 105 tonight.
Okay. So taking that one over, even with the climbing total, I like it for sure there, Tony. Now, WNBA, I know you're headed to a game shortly.
Yeah. We've been doing a WNBA a couple years. I've got a great WNBA capper this year out of Atlantic City. It's all he does is follow and bet. And, the WNBA, he's obsessed with it. He's been sending me his picks, and we got on board this year. Well over 60% on the year, really doing well. But the Aces brought in Becky Harmon, and female head coach. She was with the San Antonio Spurs under Popovich, and all she's done in Las Vegas, she took over for Bill Laimbeer. All she's done here is went 9-1 straight up at 8-2 against spread so far this year. And of course, you have the Connecticut Sun here, which is the leader in the East, and Vegas is the leader in the West. And of course, they played 2 days ago here in Vegas. It's a back-to-back scenario here. 89-81 final Las Vegas. This is the number 1 and number 2 offenses in the WNBA. And the total was 168, and it dropped down to 167. I'd probably take the Aces on the first half line for sure if you get them around 3. They're laying 5 overall. I kind of hate to lay that many in a rematch, especially against 2 really good teams that can score. But I think it'll be another shootout here. I'd lean over 167 in that one. Should be a great game down at Mandalay Bay tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and take the misses. And she wanted a night out. I said, I'll take you to Mandalay Bay. I just didn't tell her we're going to the Aces game too.
Oh, no, you might have to have a special surprise after that game.
There you go. Well, there'll be drinks and app afterwards somewhere. Good little Mexican place in there I like to go to. So we'll have some queso, some chips, and a couple of margaritas. Hopefully celebrate a little over victory.
There you go. That definitely will make your wifey happy there. Let's talk NASCAR. I know you're into NASCAR. What have you got going on there?
Well, I had commented over the weekend, and you had kind of responded to a tweet, but it was more of a rant than anything. We had made in the last 3 years for a $100 player over $10,700 in profits for them.
Wow.
And I believe we were the number 1 handicapper over at Doc's website. And there's 11 other guys over there, and they're all good. A couple of them are on your show a lot, or beginning to be on a lot. Scott Spreitzer, who's a very good NASCAR handicapper as well. But we got number 1 over there in 219 and 220, 2020. But these next gen cars have just been an absolute nightmare, not only to handicap, but for teams. And the drivers just don't have a handle on them. Now, I have a good friend that drives Xfinity and has driven Monster Cup over the last 15 years on and off, JJ Yaley, who's a friend of mine. And I'll tell you, he was telling me just how difficult these cars are to handle. And you're seeing that in the wreck outs. So we had Elliott last week. He was leading the race, wrecks out, second stage. Week before, we had Hamlin, big play, led 200 laps and then got caught up in something on a restart, and there's just been a lot of problems with these next gen cars. And also books with more and more on, states becoming legal and more books, putting out NASCAR lines. Sharp players bet NASCAR a lot. Unlike the WNBA. You really got to study to be successful at it. The problem is books had a lot of options going deep into the field. And now they're just giving you big name drivers matched up with each other against real chalky lines. And they've kind of limited your options. I know that FanDuel and DraftKings really limit them. Yeah. Circa out here in Vegas gives you some. Of course, we use some globals, because a lot of guys, use globals. I don't endorse them, but they use them. They offer a few more options, but it's been real difficult to get a handle on the handy. We've had good handicaps this year and just bad luck. Absolutely. And, and I would just say sooner or later to people out there betting NASCAR or even purchasing my wares, trust the process. You got to get it figured out a little bit. But it is very frustrating in NASCAR when you're just you got a real good handicap may just getting wrecked out. It's kind of like betting Joe Montana in the Super Bowl, laying 4 against somebody and he blows his knee out the second series of the game.
Yeah.
Your handicap's out the window and they're up 10-0 when he went out. And they end up losing 17-10. It's one of those deals. It's kind of the same scenario. So it's a little frustrating. And I'm just my rant is now over.
There you go. I'm glad you got it off your chest for sure. We need to get those rants out and heard. Then we feel better about it. We can move on. But let's move on to the MLB. I know you're looking at the matchup between the Atlanta Braves and the Colorado Rockies today. We got Anderson starting for the Braves. Braves coming in as a favorite at -149 on that money line. Are you going to ride with the Braves to get it done today, Tony?
Well, I would. I'd do a little 2-teamer here, small 2-team parlay. Take Braves and over.
Okay.
I mean, if you like laying chalk, Colorado's off a doubleheader that went into extra innings last night against Miami, and they allowed 26 runs in 2 games. Hello,
26 runs in 2 games.
Yeah,
that's insane when you add them together. We can look at the score and see it high, but then add those numbers. Wow.
It's a hitter's ballpark. It's a hitter's ballpark. Their bullpen's tapped. Atlanta, I would not term Atlanta as a juggernaut on offense, but I think they're going to go up. And Gomber's not a good starter. So, they're in trouble here. They got a high ERA starter. They got a bullpen that's absolutely tapped. They're coming off back-to-back games, late night finish. Atlanta's going to be the more rested team. Colorado's kind of tough to fade at home, but it's a scheduling spot. It's just a bad spot for Colorado, and it's a good spot for Atlanta. And they're coming in off a loss. They're going to be ready to play. They're going to be able to put some runs across the plate. I could easily see Atlanta having 8 or 9 runs, and that Colorado at home is going to chip in a few. They scored 13 in the last game yesterday. The problem is they allowed 14 and scored 1 in the first game of that series. So they kind of got it going late in the game there. But nonetheless, I think Atlanta, if you like chalk, and I don't ever lay over 150 in baseball very often. Yeah. But if you like chalk, I think Atlanta would be a solid play today. I think the over is probably in play there as well, Joe.
Okay, well, you guys, best of luck in this game. Tony, thanks for breaking it down for us. Can you let everyone know where they can find you on socials, where they can find all of your best bets as well?
Sure. We got a big day today over at Doc Sports. It's just docsports.com. Been around 51 years. I think everybody's heard of them. You ever been into sportsbook in Vegas? You've seen the Doc Sports Journal's been out for 50 years, kind of a staple, a nice little branding tool. But nonetheless, everybody knows Docs. And, of course, we offer a free $60, Joe, to anybody that comes over the website, and all you millennials and Generation Xers, guys that are Joe's age, that are still young and pretty and vibrant, and, still have a positive outlook on life, not us old grumpy farts like me, But at the end of the day, you can get on your smartphone and just text the word Tony to 29022. And a link will pop up right on your phone. You can sign up right on your phone and get a free $60 account. And we got a big play tonight in the NBA and a solid card today. We didn't lose the game yesterday either. The free plays over at YouTube. Just go to YouTube, Doc Sports, type it in. There's free plays there on video. And, of course, my Twitter is at TGeorgeSports. But be sure and check out all the outlets we have. And remember, when you go to that website, 98% of the stuff over there is free. There's 12 guys that have picks for sale, but there's almost free play write-ups and how-to wager articles and all kinds of different angles, prop bet articles, all kinds of different things on every sport known to mankind, and it's all free, and it'll help you make better decisions when it comes to sports wagering.
Absolutely. Well, you guys head on over to docsports.com. Make sure you text that number with the promo code Tony to get your free $60 deposit. But Tony, thank you so much for joining me. I will be back, you guys, for another Joe Madden Sports podcast in the next 5 minutes here. Tony, it's a pleasure. Enjoy the golf course today.
Thank you. I'm headed out tea time now, Joe. You got me in early.
Absolutely. Have a good one, Tony. Thank you. Bye, guys.